The Horowitz report is going to be ugly and damning regarding the Department of Justice handling of the Russian probe. I want all this information to come out. I don't want people to believe what I say about it. I want them to read for themselves how bad it was. The warrant application to the FISA court, I think, was, quite frankly, a fraud on the court. I want all the communications out where they were on notice that Christopher Steele hated Trump, that he was an unreliable informant. I want the information out that the dossier prepared by Steele coming from Russia is unverified to this day.
He wants a lot of stuff out. I think the whole country wants that stuff out. That's Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham. Graham telling our very own Maria Bartiromo that the Inspector General's report could be a doozy, and it might just be weeks away. Former FBI Special Agent John Iannarelli joins me right now. John, good to see you. I mean, we've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. What's taken so long?
Well, Trish, hopefully the report's going to be here sooner than later. We haven't waited 2 years, which is what the Mueller report essentially took. And I think when this report comes out, you're going to see a lot of things about the FBI and the Justice Department that is not the way things should have been.
Yeah, John, look, I think it is going to be a doozy. I think that we're going to learn things that maybe we wish we didn't know, because I think we'll be a little disheartened. I think that we will find out that there's some bad and shady things that go on behind the scenes. What's your instinct on it?
Well, the good news is that the report is not going to represent the men and women of the FBI, the vast majority that are out there and doing great things every day to keep America safe. But there were a few people, certainly there was Andrew McCabe at the helm, and others like Peter Strzok, who took great liberties, it appears. I think what you're going to see from the Horowitz report is holding people accountable. The question will be, will there be repercussions? Will they be tried for a criminal offense, or is this going to be something that's going to be swept under the rug? I think the Horowitz report is going to lay it out for the American public, but the public can have confidence
that we'll do the right thing. We got to do the right thing. But, you know, I wonder, it'll get political, of course, as everything does, especially going into an election. But let me ask you this. I mean, why is it that James Comey kept that as such a tight-knit group, do you think?
Well, birds of a feather. You know, what my experience is that it's persons who thought they were the smartest people in the room and that they could make all the decisions and knew better than everyone else. They weren't big on having people disagree with them because obviously others in the FBI did not feel that these were the appropriate actions to take place. And unfortunately, you had that groupthink, and it led us to where we are today.
Isn't that the danger with the FISA court as well? I mean, like, I get why the FISA court is there. And look, after 9/11, we kind of needed it. We needed to be able to figure out who these potential terrorists were. But the concerns that people voiced then, actually, many people in the Democratic Party, because don't forget, Bush was in there, right? In 9/11, there were a lot of Democrats that didn't like the whole FISA court process. Those concerns are no longer relevant these days because you've got Donald Trump, and somehow if the Democrats are using the FISA courts to their benefit, now it's worthwhile. But what do we need to think about in terms of that system and people's privacy and, you know, the values that we hold dear as Americans, John?
We have to remember the FISA court is there because this country then and now faced some very serious threats. We're looking at a particular FISA that may have gone awry because of certain people and their political beliefs. But there are many FISAs I've read, I've written, I've seen these FISAs that are doing the job to keep people safe. That's not something we want to lose in this world of terrorism we live in.
Yeah, but you certainly don't want a bunch of people running around behind closed doors, not even bothering to flag it for the judge. That this whole thing they were basing their research on, and the reason they wanted all this was because they had some unverified report from a foreign ex-spy that had been paid off by opposition research teams for Hillary Clinton. I mean, that to me, you know, you shouldn't get to first base when you have something like that as your basis for an investigation and your basis for a FISA warrant.
Which is why the Horowitz report is so important. It's going to hold people accountable. This is not the kind of thing you would see from the average agent in the FBI. It is something that went amiss, and others are certainly going to be put on notice that it's not going to be tolerated in the future.
The president has said this could be Watergate on steroids. Do you agree with that, John?
I don't know if it's going to be quite Watergate, but any time that you have persons that are been sworn to uphold the Constitution and then deviate for their own political thoughts, well, that's wrong. It's not what this country stands for. It's not what the FBI stands for. I'm glad it's being addressed.
One last question. How big do you think it could go? Does it go all the way to President Obama himself?
It would be pure speculation to know whether or not it goes to anywhere in the White House. What we do know is that there were persons, certainly in the top echelon of the FBI, that did things that are questionable. I'm just as curious as everybody else to see what's going to be in that report.
Yeah, we're waiting. Can't wait to see it. Or maybe I can, because it's going to be pretty, like I said, perhaps a doozy and disappointing, certainly for the country. John, it's good to see you. Thank you very much. Coming up.